Rick and Morty Season 9 ends with an episode that feels very different from the show's usual finales. Instead of focusing on massive multiversal threats or long-running villains, Episode 10 tells a deeply personal story about Morty, his complicated relationship with Rick, and whether a perfect family can ever truly exist. Beneath the dark comedy and outrageous science fiction, the finale explores grief, belonging, and the painful truth that every universe comes with its own problems. The episode opens in classic Rick and Morty fashion with complete chaos. Rick and Morty are dying after eating an incredibly spicy chili when a portal suddenly opens. A strange ringmaster Rick announces that an estate sale is beginning, and within moments countless versions of Rick and Morty from across the multiverse arrive to claim whatever belongings they want from the recently deceased family. It is a bizarre opening, but it introduces one of the episode's most fascinating ideas: funeral hopping. While Rick casually browses the estate sale, Morty meets another version of himself wearing sunglasses. This Morty explains that he travels between universes simply to attend different versions of his own funeral. Since funerals are usually the only time people openly express their love and appreciation, funeral hopping allows him to hear all the kind things his family would never normally say. It is a surprisingly emotional concept hidden inside an absurd science fiction premise. Before leaving, Sunglasses Morty gives our Morty a portable portal device after finding another one among the belongings of the dead Morty. That single gift becomes the catalyst for everything that follows. Curious about what his own life might have looked like elsewhere, Morty begins traveling through different realities. Some funerals are hilarious. Others are strange. One universe features a gothic funeral where ravens feast upon his body as part of an elaborate ritual. Another presents an entirely different version of Morty known simply as Mort. This universe immediately stands apart. Here, Beth and Jerry cut ties with Rick long before Summer was ever born. Without Rick constantly dragging the family into dangerous adventures, Mort grew up in what appears to be a stable and loving home. Although Mort has already died before the episode begins, his funeral paints the picture of a teenager who was admired, successful, and deeply loved by everyone around him. When Morty's accidental appearance is discovered, he tells the family the truth about the multiverse. Instead of rejecting him, they welcome him into their home. For perhaps the first time in the entire series, Morty experiences something resembling an ordinary family life. They eat together. They laugh together. Nobody is arguing. Nobody is trying to kill anyone. Nobody is opening dangerous portals to another dimension. It feels like the peaceful childhood Morty has always deserved. Eventually, Morty returns to his own universe. The contrast could not be greater. His home immediately reminds him of the constant dysfunction that has defined his life. Rick remains emotionally distant, his family barely communicates, and chaos feels completely normal. Unable to ignore the happiness he briefly experienced, Morty returns to the suburban universe. A touching montage follows as he slowly becomes part of Mort's family. He spends time with Beth and Summer. He enjoys quiet evenings. He builds a genuine bond with Jerry. Everything appears almost perfect. That illusion begins to crack during a weekend trip to the family's remote cabin. Jerry asks Morty to permanently become his son. At first, the request sounds incredibly touching. Morty has always wanted someone to choose him unconditionally. However, Jerry insists that Morty prove his commitment by destroying the portable portal device. That request immediately raises suspicions. When Morty hesitates, Jerry destroys it himself. His warm personality suddenly disappears. The truth is finally revealed. This version of Jerry is an obsessive survivalist. He forced Mort through brutal training for years, believing hardship created strength. The mountain expedition that ultimately killed Mort was the direct result of Jerry's extreme parenting. The perfect family Morty admired was never actually perfect. Like every universe in Rick and Morty, it simply hid its problems beneath the surface. Morty escapes into the forest, where he discovers supplies secretly hidden by Mort before his death. The bag contains money, food, clothing, and survival equipment, suggesting Mort himself may have planned to escape from his own family. Using those supplies, Morty searches for the one person who might still help him: Rick. This version of Rick is unlike almost any other seen in the series. Instead of becoming the reckless genius audiences know, he became a respected physics professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Portal travel remains only a scientific theory. Rick also rebuilt his personal life after Diane's death. He remarried a woman named Julie. He stopped drinking. He regularly attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. For the first time, viewers see a version of Rick who genuinely tried to heal instead of burying his pain beneath alcohol and endless adventures. Morty's arrival changes everything. Determined to send him home, this Rick becomes consumed with completing portal technology. Each failure increases his frustration. His obsession slowly replaces the peaceful life he built. Eventually, he returns to alcohol. Julie, unable to watch him destroy himself again, leaves him. The tragedy is difficult to ignore. Even the healthiest version of Rick cannot completely escape his own destructive nature. His brilliance repeatedly becomes both his greatest gift and his greatest curse. After countless attempts, Rick finally completes what appears to be a functioning portal. Unfortunately, the suburban Smith family arrives before Morty can leave. Jerry desperately tries to stop him, insisting the portal is unsafe. Rick confidently claims everything will work perfectly. To prove it, someone throws a raccoon through the portal. Moments later, the animal emerges horrifyingly turned completely inside out. Jerry was right. The portal is catastrophically unstable. Chaos immediately erupts. A violent confrontation follows between Rick and the suburban Smith family. The unstable portal tears everything apart. One after another, Jerry, Rick, and Summer die in gruesome fashion. Beth cannot cope with the horror unfolding before her. Overwhelmed by grief and trauma, she takes her own life. Morty is left standing alone, surrounded by the complete destruction of the family he believed represented his perfect future. The sequence is one of the darkest moments the series has ever produced. It completely dismantles Morty's fantasy. He believed another universe could give him the life he always wanted. Instead, he discovers that suffering exists everywhere. Every family carries hidden scars. Every seemingly perfect reality contains its own tragedies waiting to emerge. At that moment, the ringmaster Rick returns. Just as at the beginning of the episode, he announces another estate sale. Death has become routine across the multiverse. Another family has fallen. Another collection of alternate Ricks and Mortys arrives to collect whatever remains. This repeating cycle reinforces one of the episode's biggest ideas. Across infinite universes, life and death continue endlessly. No reality is immune to loss. Our Rick finally arrives and finds Morty. Unlike previous episodes where Rick often struggles to express genuine emotion, the ending feels surprisingly sincere. After returning home, Morty tells Beth and Summer that he loves them. They barely understand why he suddenly becomes so emotional. For Morty, however, those words carry enormous weight. He has just watched another version of his family disappear forever. He now appreciates the deeply flawed family he already has. The final motorcycle ride between Rick and Morty quietly delivers the emotional conclusion of the season. As they ride together, they describe themselves as father and son. Although Rick is technically Morty's grandfather, the relationship between them has always been much more complicated. Rick has raised, protected, traumatized, and guided Morty through countless adventures. Morty finally recognizes that despite all of Rick's flaws, they have become family in every meaningful sense. The post-credits scene shifts attention to Mr. Poopy Butthole. His wife Amy uses a preserved version of his DNA in an attempt to locate the original Mr. Poopy Butthole somewhere in the multiverse. The technology appears to work at first. However, the mysterious traveling orb suddenly disappears into an unknown universe before anyone can follow it. The series deliberately refuses to explain what happened next. Instead, the scene appears to plant the seeds for a storyline that could continue into Season 10. Whether the orb located Mr. Poopy Butthole, became lost somewhere beyond known realities, or uncovered an entirely new multiversal mystery remains unanswered. The Season 9 finale ultimately is not about spectacular action or universe-ending stakes. It is about perspective. Morty spends the episode searching for a better life, convinced another reality must offer the happiness missing from his own. Instead, he discovers that perfection is an illusion. Every family carries pain. Every version of Rick struggles with loss. Every universe demands sacrifices. By the end of the episode, Morty no longer dreams about replacing his family with a better one. Instead, he chooses to appreciate the imperfect people already in his life. At the same time, the unresolved fate of Mr. Poopy Butthole, the repeated estate sales across the multiverse, and Morty's growing emotional maturity leave Season 10 with plenty of intriguing directions to explore. If this finale proves anything, it is that Rick and Morty continues to find surprisingly heartfelt stories beneath its outrageous science fiction ideas, reminding viewers that no matter how many universes exist, the people closest to us remain the ones worth fighting for.